What's up, everyone? Welcome to the last lesson on prompting. We will go through a handful of examples just to show you some additional context behind our prompts. We will also go through the high fashion cutout that we will use in the next lesson. So yeah, stick to the end because it will be the last one. Let's get at it. All right, so starting from here, you might actually remember the scene from the first lesson on prompting, but this cutout is a different generation. I think it's kind of important to go through the syntax of the prompt in more detail today. So we have the editorial color, whatever, it's written there. And while it might seem a lot, the structure is very simple. Everything we have in this first phase, the editorial color studio bright photography, is essentially making our life easier. It lets us get realistic results without moody lighting, without any interior in the background, without black and white images. Editorial photography is actually something we always add, even if we are researching different interior styles, concept art. Editorial photography makes everything looks more realistic. So that's a nice touch. We also have the color studio bright, which helps to prevent black and white photos. It helps to prevent moody lighting. If we remove this part, we are running a risk of having more illustrative generations, but it might be something that you might actually want. So you know what they affect, how we use them, how we ended up here. The second aspect is who our character is. We entered elegant casual men. If you just type men, we are broadening up the generations. We could get anything. We might get a guy in a jacket or a t-shirt, anything really. And also, if we type elegant men, we might get a tuxedo or suit, which wouldn't work either. So for a generic classy interior, elegant casual is quite versatile. This is the go-to that we use. Next up, we have the turn back part. This indicates how the character is positioned relative to the camera. We also try turn side or turn back, and sometimes one or the other works better. Turn back fits this particular case better. And the last part is the action that this character is performing. And here, the main action is simply standing and sipping espresso. We could write that he's holding an espresso cup, and the effect might be similar. Sometimes though, little changes like using sipping might get us closer to actually drinking. So you need to keep in mind that words will have a great impact. They might even change the camera, and it's a game you play with Midjourney, but yeah, you can try different things to get you there. Here, on the other hand, we have an example with a seated character. And again, the syntax is the same. We used a wide angle here because the focal length in this shot is smaller. It's not something you absolutely need to have, but kind of narrows down the generations a bit. And again, the character is elegant, casual man, just like we had before, and the action is sitting, backlit, on low sofa seen from the side. There's one aspect that possibly can influence the generation, which is the low sofa part. I think in this case, it helps to sort of relax the pose of the character. Even though we have the backlit part, the low sofa part kind of indicates that the backrest will be lower. And seen from the side is the same as before. Earlier we had character standing and we used turn back and turn side. Since the character is sitting, seen from the side fits more. Moving on, another very straightforward prompt but very successful result. We have editorial photography, as we usually do. A woman in bathrobe, that's our character, and the action is standing in sunshine, seen from the side. So the action is very simple and the whole prompt is very simple, but I want to point out one thing here. We don't have studio or color part anymore. We actually added standing in the sunshine. And in this particular case, we actually want to have some sort of directional lighting, and we emphasize that part with the sunshine. So there's a different way of sort of control lighting, and I think it's worth mentioning. So that's that. And finally, this is actually a character from our penthouse scene. We have a somewhat detailed description. We could start with something simpler, but as we can see, describing the dress works quite well. There's a description of the situation and action, which says that she's seen slightly from above. We actually experimented with this part at that point, so everything you've seen in the trainings, in the practical ones, are working better. Then we have she's standing on the staircase, leaning against the railing, looking down. So this part is roughly what we had in the other staircase scenario as well. There are also some descriptors like high fashion, Prada, wide view, which I think we could skip. As I said, we were experimenting with it back then, and maybe it steers into some sort of direction, but I think making it simpler is more manageable. But anyway, not something that totally destroys the syntax, and that's that. You know some hidden meaning, some story behind this prompt, and obviously you should test, and we encourage you to dive into Midjourney and test different things, especially if you want to have better results or maybe have them faster. But yeah, I think that's enough to get you going. We are done with prompting. Thanks for this cool segment and see you in the next Penthouse lesson.